Hi everyone, my name is Chloe Coleman, and today Ria Saha and I will examine a scene from Black Panther and its connection to Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart. The scene we chose is from 137:02 to 138:14, when T'Challa is transported to the ancestral plane after losing the throne to Killmonger. Here, he asks his father, T'Chaka, why he didn't bring Killmonger home after killing Killmonger's father.
Kuba, why didn't you bring the boy home?
This moment is pivotal because it marks a shift in T'Challa's ideology. At the start of the film, he supports Wakanda's isolation and protection of vibranium, following his father's example. But after confronting the truth about Killmonger, T'Challa begins to embrace a more empathetic, outward-looking worldview, recognizing Wakanda's post-colonial responsibility to the world. The director communicates this shift not only through dialogue, but also through visual choices, including framing, composition, mise-en-scène, and the presence of specific characters. Symmetrical framing and composition place T'Challa and T'Chaka at the center of their respective shots, emphasizing the emotional tension between their opposing convictions, T'Chaka's commitment to isolation and T'Challa's desire to open up Wakanda's power. This symmetry also reinforces T'Challa's reflection on his own past beliefs, as he confronts how closely he once mirrored his father's philosophy.
You are wrong! All of you are wrong!
Shots alternate between father and son, highlighting their connection while underscoring the weight of inheriting a flawed legacy. These close-ups allow viewers to observe the subtle expressions of grief and moral conflict, particularly in T'Chaka, whose eyes often look away from both T'Challa and the camera. This is a deliberate directorial choice. By avoiding eye contact, T'Chaka is visually distancing himself from his son and the audience, symbolizing his inability to confront the consequences of his actions. It creates a visual rift that reinforces the tension between generations, and the burden T'Challa must now carry. Tracking shots also follow T'Challa as he moves, keeping him in sharp focus. But no such tracking is used on T'Chaka, who remains relatively stationary and hard focus. This deliberate choice emphasizes T'Challa's active role as a living heir, the one driving change, while T'Chaka represents the static, established beliefs of the past. The absence of a tracking shot on T'Chaka further communicates his passivity and adherence to old ways, visually reinforcing the tension between tradition and progress. Surrounded by the natural environment that grants him power, T'Challa is visually linked to both his heritage and the inescapable weight of his lineage. Even the consumption of the heart-shaped herb, which allows him to enter the ancestral plane, reinforces the idea that nature serves as a bridge between the living and the dead, a reminder of how deeply intertwined power and ancestry are in Wakandan tradition.
Secondly, the director's choice of presenting T'Challa as the sole protagonist in one frame, while the Wakandan ancestors surround T'Chaka in the other frame, illustrates the break in thought between father and son. Similar to the relationships of father and son in Things Fall Apart, where in a way it's, quote, no longer my son, end quote. Both fathers in Things Fall Apart advocate for tradition, which is equivocal to T'Chaka, and both sons desire to stray from societal or traditional norms to advance their own beliefs, having been shaped by external factors. The point of view of T'Challa is T'Chaka, and we see T'Chaka wearing and encompassed by vibrant, high-saturated colors of ancestry, such as lime green and fiery orange. This is the perspective of T'Challa, where he has views of T'Chaka as too stuck in the past in maintaining Wakandan tradition of keeping the city and its technology secret. The point of view of T'Chaka is T'Challa, who is surrounded by nature, an earthy hue with a low saturation, emphasizing purity, and wearing a white robe, emphasizing innocence. This depicts T'Chaka's perspective that T'Challa is ignorant and does not know what he is talking about in wanting Wakanda to expand internationally.
I chose my people. I chose Wakanda.
These point of views is accentuated by the sharp focus of both characters, reflecting the stark opinion they have of each other's beliefs. Additionally, the white reflections or whites in both of their eyes symbolizes a two-part juxtaposition. The fact that each of them can discern the white implies that they are in strong proximity of each other, illustrating their deep connection as father and son. However, the whites in their eyes, usually used in a militaristic context, underscores the taut tension between the individuals and how they are in that position for battle, not a family reunion. This juxtaposition is significant because it shows how external factors cause familial divide, where both characters desire to be together. However, an existential force or reason prohibits them from seeing each other eye to eye. Moreover, the camera angle frames T'Challa as on the right side and T'Chaka on the left side, exhibiting the power imbalance, which foreshadows the end where T'Challa expands Wakandan technology, like creating a science and art center in Oakland, California. This scene between T'Challa, his father, and his ancestors represents not just a break in belief, but a commentary on the inevitable legacy that follows T'Challa. These themes are analogous in Things Fall Apart, as the father-son relationships also emphasize the underlying legacy that dictates the main character, Okonkwo's, decision-making. Just as the decisions and perspective of T'Chaka continue to influence T'Challa's outlook and actions after his death, Okonkwo's, quote, whole life was dominated by fear, the fear of failure and of weakness, end quote, which he deems to be his father's mistakes. It is this fear that leads Okonkwo to kill his son Akemefuna and destroy the little relationship that he had with his biological son Nweye. Even Nweye's decision to convert to Christianity is a direct byproduct of Inoka's actions, as they drive Okonkwo to kill Akemefuna, creating a domino effect of familial trauma dictated by the generation before. Additionally, there is persistence, both in Black Panther and Things Fall Apart, where fathers desire for their sons to carry on their legacy and authority. T'Challa to be the next Black Panther, and Okonkwo, quote, initiating his sons into Ozo society, end quote. Thus, both Black Panther and Things Fall Apart mirror each other through their emphasis on ancestry and legacy, the persistence of both positive and negative familial actions, and father and son divide through differing ambitions.